Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Premier League predictions. It is the week before Christmas. I went to Milton Keynes to go Christmas shopping. And then before anyone else comments on it, I've made my beard really short as well, which is a bit confusing for me and everybody. I'm a bit heartbroken as well, Mikey, because Steve Cooper's been sacked by Nottingham Forest, which we'll talk about in that segment. But Mikey, hello, Christmas, managers, say something.
Yeah, always loads going on, isn't there? This is a crazy time of the year in every respect, and I'm sure football managers feel it too, Ben.
They do, don't they? Well, look, we'll save that. And literally, to break the fourth wall as well, we've just done a bit on the Championship on the channel as well. Stephen Schumacher, another of my favourite managers, jumping from Plymouth to Stoke. I've got a good segue here. And jumping is something that I was doing after the last set of predictions, Mikey, because it was 7 points to 4 for me. We both got Forest and Tottenham outcome. I got Burnley, Everton. You got Chelsea, Sheffield United the right way round. You got Newcastle, Fulham. We both got Arsenal, Brighton, but I got the scoreline correct, which put me level. And then I also got Brentford, Villa, and West Ham, Wolves. So it was the win for me, Mikey. And why am I beating you on a Brighton game? You're the Brighton expert.
I don't know about that. I don't think I've called Brighton right once yet, have I, Ben? In the whole time I've been on your channel. And are we going to start? Are we going to start with Brighton on this one as well, Ben?
Let's get straight into it. This is the Mikey Penty Smith derby. This, isn't it? It's Crystal Palace v Brighton, and so just to get this out the way, that we're over. Is it 4 days this week, or is it just 3? 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Yeah, 4 days.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, 4 days worth. So this first game is going to be on Thursday night. It's Crystal Palace. It's Mikey's wife's favourite team versus his favourite team. Palace versus Brighton. Mikey, go for it. What do you reckon?
Where is this coming from? This is the biggest game for these two teams. And I know a lot of people like to belittle this fixture and say it isn't a derby. I've been to a Crystal Palace Brighton game at Selhurst Park, and it was a brilliant atmosphere, and you could tell both sets of fans were really up for it. It isn't Portsmouth against Southampton, it isn't Newcastle against Sunderland, but this is the game that matters most for the fans of both of these clubs at the moment. Palace go into it off the back of a pretty impressive 2-2 draw at Manchester City. It came from absolutely nowhere, really, Ben. They were struggling, as a lot of teams do at Man City. They couldn't get the ball, but then they've got a goal back from Mateta and then managed to force a penalty in injury time. And Eberechi Eze managed to get on the pitch as well. And if they can keep him and Elise fit just for a few games, Ben, maybe just over Christmas, then they've got every chance of starting to pick up a few points. You might think that Selhurst Park under the lights is a tough place to go.
I do.
But they haven't even scored a goal in a midweek fixture in 2023, Ben. That's 5 matches with 0 goals. Brighton have won 5 of their 8, and they obviously like playing on a Thursday night, judging by how well they've been doing in the Europa League. The last 4 meetings at Selhurst Park between these two clubs have finished 1-1. And as I picked that stat out, I thought I'll just go for it. 1-1. A repeat, it wouldn't really satisfy either fan base, would it? Really, I think Brighton expect to go to Palace and win these days. And Palace haven't had a win for so long. They haven't won at home since the start of September. They'll absolutely demand one as well. So I'm just going to say, because I don't support either club, I'm just going to go with a 1-1 draw.
You can still love the club and support. Where's the blooming? I'm just trying to find the head-to-head on here. They do have a good record, don't they? Brighton against Palace. I remember them playing in the playoffs though, and Palace winning, and the first iteration of Wilf Zaha being brilliant. And that, in fact, actually, no, we spoke to Alan Lee, didn't we, on Blue Monday? I think he might have played in that. Did he play in that? Might have played in that game, mightn't he? I think he did. He was certainly raving about Wilf Zaha. Anyway, but he's not going to be there. And I'm trying to persuade myself into backing Brighton here, because after my tweets about Stevie Cooper today, everyone's telling me he's the next Crystal Palace manager. So we'll expedite this a little bit. Palace 0, Brighton 1. What about that for a controversial start, Mikey? And I tell you, we both love Aston Villa at the moment. Aston Villa versus Sheffield United, which reminds me, was it the first game back after COVID? The one where the ball went over the line and the Hawkeye didn't see it?
Exactly that, Ben. So there's a little bit of history in
Did you
this
have that in your
fixture, isn't there?
notes?
I did indeed, yeah. That infamous moment in an otherwise pretty turgid first game back after lockdown. We were all really excited to have the football back, and then it was really bizarre, wasn't it? Hawkeye technology failing.
Was
Not
that,
something that
Mikey?
happens very often.
Was that also the game, very sadly, that Jack O'Connell got injured? It might have been. Maybe I'm wrong about that. It was definitely in that stadium, wasn't it? And we've literally never seen him again since. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, sorry, continue, Mikey. Villa, Sheffield United.
Quite possibly, yeah. So Villa will fully expect to win this one. If they go top, Ben, it'll be the first time since January 1999 that they've been top of the league, because obviously this fixture comes so early in the match week.
John
They'll
Gregory?
go top. John Gregory, yeah.
Dion Dublin?
Ian Taylor, Lee Hendry,
Steve Stone?
Steve Stone, yeah.
Good team, yeah.
Good team, but ultimately fell away. I don't quite feel like they're in the title race, but fair play to them. The more points that they can get, the more chance they've got of finishing in the top four. I think this one might be more difficult than a lot of Villa fans expect, because the expectations are going to be so high, and suddenly that home advantage that they have and the really positive fan base are going to get a little bit tetchy if it gets difficult. And Chris Wilder knows how to set up a team away from home. He showed that at Chelsea, made life really difficult for them, and that was a real slog for Chelsea against Sheffield United at the weekend. Everyone knows how good Villa are at home. And what is it now? 15 wins in a row. I think they've maybe lost twice there in the league under Unai Emery. I'm not going to predict that that's going to change, Ben. I'm going to be a bit boring here and go for a 2-1 Aston Villa win.
Mate, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I think I've been backing Villa every week and getting a point on it every week recently. So you've taken 2-1. Blades aren't exactly... I mean, I love Cameron Archer, but Blades aren't exactly goal happy, are they? So I will take away your 1, Mikey, and I will go Villa 2, Blades 0. The Paul-Ince derby. It's West Ham versus Man United. And this is the early kickoff. We're into the Saturday games now.
Yeah, I called West Ham badly wrong last week, didn't I, Ben? I thought that they were going to have a real Europa League hangover. Far from it. They absolutely swept aside Wolves in the first half. Mohamed Kudus just looks like one hell of a player as well, and he's bringing the best out in Lucas Paquetá as well. And Jared Bowen is looking like a really good centre forward as well, which is quite fun. Manchester United fans were over the moon with a point, Ben, in their big game at Anfield. Imagine that.
Stop it. Don't do this. Don't do it.
But their fans will demand a win here going into Christmas. They've been far too inconsistent in results and just generally been below par with performances. They go into most games expecting to win, but after being happy with a point at Liverpool, they'll fully expect 3 points from this one. Bruno Fernandes is back in the team for them. He's their primary creator in the middle. I'm going to go for a draw here. I'm going to go for 1-1.
Well, I did well back in West Ham last time out, didn't I? And with my championship hat on and my beating heart for Jared Bowen and Said Benrahma as well. I don't know whether a feature or not. I might back the Hammers then. Because Man United aren't going to play low block against West Ham. No one will cross the halfway line if that happens. So I think it might play into the Happy Hammers' hands. Easy for me to say. West Ham 1, Manchester United 0. And it is the battle of the last 2 champions. Is that right? Of the championship. Is that right, Mikey? Isn't it? Fulham versus Burnley. What are you saying?
Yeah, it should be quite an attractive game, this one. Both sides will be keen to put last weekend behind them. Fulham, disastrous afternoon at Newcastle, and Burnley were brushed aside by Everton. Fulham did win the last 2 home games 5-0, which we talked about last week, while Burnley are winners in their last 8 games in London. Though, curiously, they did win it on their last visit to the Cottage, which was their last victory in the capital, in the Premier League, of course. Raul Jimenez won't be involved for Fulham after that incredible kung fu kick that he did in the first half at Newcastle. I'm finding it hard to back Burnley in this one. Fulham seem to be finding their groove at home, at least. I'm going to go for Fulham 3, Burnley 1, but quite an attractive game.
3-1. Those cats were fast as lightning. Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, I've got Fulham down to win this one. I'm not going to be so bold as you've been, but I've already had a 2-0, so I'm going to shave 1 goal off your score for Fulham, Mikey, and I'm going to go Fulham 2. I'll go for Burnley to score. Yeah, Fulham 2, Burnley 1. Now, you might see a YouTuber with millions of subscribers and views a week driving a Bentley. It's a bit more modest, I have to say, when you're covering the Championship. So if you can find a few quid each month to support over on Patreon or by hitting the join button here, you are making the world of difference for myself, Shaylee, and Enid. And we are going to move on to Luton versus Newcastle, the Paul Kitson derby.
The Paul Kitson derby.
Shouting it.
Indeed. I think this will obviously be an emotional affair for Luton, the first game without their captain, Tom Lockyer. Luton always seem to score at home, make life difficult for their opponents, and I don't expect this one to be any different. Newcastle have an incredible record, though, Ben, against promoted sides recently. They're unbeaten in their last 16.
16.
But that 16, yeah, but that 8-0 win at Sheffield United was actually their only league away win of the season, which I found quite remarkable. They lead the league for big chances created and XG, which suggests that they're potentially underachieving a touch, being down in 6th. Fabian Schär has joined their lengthy injury list, but Alexander Isak and Kieran Trippier should be back for this one. I just can't help but feel like Luton are due a win in one of these games against the big teams. They always make life difficult, and Newcastle, huge injury list, patchy form, lots of travel. I'm going to be bold this time, and I'm going to predict that Luton are going to beat Newcastle 2-1.
That's tremendous. I mean, I had them to score because they just make life hard for everybody, especially in the Kenny, don't they? So I will, being as you've been so bold, that means I don't need to. So I can go draw. So let's go Desmond then, because, you know, I was at those Luton games against the big boys, and having big guys and good deliveries and Ross Barkley and Alfie Doughty and a couple of strapping forwards does work against Arsenal and Man City. So maybe it'll work against Newcastle as well. Speaking of Man City, Mikey, we only get to predict 9 games this week because they're off swanning it in Saudi in the FIFA World Club final. Is that right?
Yeah, they're playing the Club World Cup. As we're recording, they're playing at the moment against Urawa Reds.
Right now,
apparently, it's been absolutely dreadful. But presumably they'll get through one way or another, and Calvin Phillips probably won't get to play very much.
And also, if they win, it's a trophy. If they lose, it's a friendly. So you can't lose in this one. But
it's a win-win, isn't it? It's quite nice to be able to say that you're champions of the world, isn't it? But really, who cares?
But like in the baseball, the World Series of baseball, yes. Right. Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth. And, Stevie Cooper is out. And if we know Mr. Marianakis, probably by the time we finish this, there'll be another. Do you remember when he sacked Martin O'Neill and announced Sabri Lamouchi like 3 minutes later? And no one knew Martin O'Neill didn't know Martin O'Neill was getting sacked, and you already had the new guy.
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise in all of this, Ben, is that it's taken him so long. He clearly didn't fancy Steve Cooper a year ago, but maybe just felt like he couldn't afford to get rid of him just because he was turning results around.
Same with Tony Mowbray at Sunderland. You felt like for ages they just didn't want him, and it's silly. But Steve Cooper will go manage somewhere else. You know, I'm a big fan, and he'll do really well. And it'll be what it's going to be. And Nuno Santo, the old Wolves and Spurs manager, looks like he's the one. And given how leaky Mr. Marianakis is, that's probably definitely going to happen then, isn't it? So, but anyway, they're going to play Bournemouth. I'm going to predict them to lose just because I'm cross for Stevie Cooper. But you go first anyway.
Okay, so obviously the new era under Nuno Espirito Santo. He's not known for his free flowing football, is he? But he is known.
No.
He is known for putting a dressing room together, and he does have an identity. He was a goalkeeper, wasn't he, Ben? For Porto back in the day.
And Wolves also had Walter Zenga managing them briefly in the Championship. Name me another club who's had 2 keepers manage them in a 3-year period. I bet you can't. In the comments on that one, someone will be able to do it.
In the comments, yeah. So I looked up what he's been doing since, and I think I did know somewhere in my mind that he's been managing over in Saudi Arabia. I was a little bit surprised to see that he won a cup and a league title, but then was let go after struggling a little bit the following season. But yeah, he was relatively successful there. He was Tottenham's 12th choice manager before he took over them, and it just didn't work out. It was never going to work out. There was all the Harry Kane nonsense going on there as well. But he did win his first game, which was against Manchester City at home. They have a poor record against Bournemouth, winning none of their last 6 games against them. And the Cherries are scoring
including
for fun.
Mikey. Sorry to interrupt. Including that famous promotion shootout at the end of 21-22, where Kiefer Moore grabbed the promotion-winning goal. Incredible game, that one.
Yeah, and last season as well, I think Bournemouth got a huge win at Forest. I think they were 2-0 down and ended up winning 3-2. So I think there is a little bit of needle between these two teams. I just feel like with the new manager coming in, is it a bit cliche of me to say new manager pounce, Ben? I just feel like Forest really badly need this win. And how often do we see it when a new manager comes in? It feels like we see it all the time. So for that reason, I'm going against you here. I'm going for a Forest home 2-1 win.
This is the internet, Mikey. We've got to be complete opposites and have totally the opposite opinion of each other, haven't we? So yeah, I'm in a grump with Forest. Love the club. But I love Steve Cooper as well. So I'm going to go for Bournemouth to win this one 2-0. And for Mr. Marianakis to have a long, hard think about what he's done to poor old Steve Cooper. Spurs versus Everton.
Oh, I was just waiting for you to say the Gary Lineker derby there, Ben. Sorry, I've got that on my bingo card here.
Gary Stephen.
Okay, you're just going to go. Dele Alli. There you go. There's another
Gary
one.
Lineker.
These are two teams who are pretty happy with the way things are going right now. Richarlison has recaptured his scoring touch, as we mentioned last week, and has added an extra dimension to the Spurs attack, as they don't get many crosses into the box at all. But at Nottingham Forest the other night, they whipped a fantastic ball in from the right, and Richarlison got up. Yeah, really nice in-swinging ball, and I think they'll do that more now. Richarlison's playing in there. They'll hope to have Brennan Johnson back. He took a bit of a bang to the face in his return to the City ground, but Udogie and Bassoum will both miss out through suspension, which definitely weakens them defensively. Pre-points deduction, Everton hadn't won back-to-back league games under Sean Dyche, but they've now won 5 on the spin, Ben. It's just classic Everton behaviour, isn't it? It's like
classic Dyche behaviour.
Yeah, it's us against the world. I think that their Carabao Cup exploits, which are obviously happening after we record this video, but I think they might take a fair bit out of Everton. I just can't see them winning that many matches in a row. So I'm going to call a Tottenham home win. Lots of goals again. 3-1 to Spurs.
By the way, I've just got their last... So those 4 wins, they haven't conceded a goal in any of them either. It's 4 straight clean sheets as well. So, yes, outstanding. But, yeah, sorry, Mikey, what was your score prediction? I was looking at...
I went 3-1.
3-1 Spurs, yeah. Spurs are my guilty pleasure this season, and I'm kind of a bit of a closet Ange Postecoglou fan, I have to say. No, I'm out of that closet. Get me out of that closet. I'm just a fan of Ange Postecoglou. So I'm going to back him, but it'll be low scoring because it's Dyche. So let's go 1-0 Spurs. And I love this game. Liverpool versus Arsenal. Woof.
Yeah, so this is a game which usually guarantees loads of goals. And for you, Ben, probably brings up memories of Fever Pitch, Michael Thomas winning the league for Arsenal.
All I can think of, I'm sorry, is Robert Pires. He's like horizontal, and he does the most... Makes Wes Burns' shot look like it goes in a straight line. The best curling finish ever. But yes, fever pitch too as well. But yeah,
And
what great,
the
good
Andre
rivalry this, isn't
Arshavin
it?
as well, scoring
Oh,
scoring 4 goals there.
four.
It's a real classic, isn't it? And I was going to segue from the Michael Thomas winning the
Sorry,
league. I was going to do a bit of Brian Moore here, Ben, and say that top spot
it
is
is
up for grabs now because the
very
winner of
much
this game
up for
will be
grabs
top
now.
at Christmas. Liverpool lost their perfect home record last week, and their fans were getting a little bit edgy at times by the sounds of it. So I expect Mikel Arteta's side to try and take advantage of that. Only a point separates them, and they have the 2 meanest defences in the league, despite us talking about the goals. Perhaps surprisingly, they also lead the league for accurate crosses per game. There's so little between them, so I'm just going to take a bit of a punt here, Ben, and I'm going to say Arsenal are going to be top at Christmas after a 2-1 away win.
I was going to back Arsenal as well. It'd be a real big statement win, wouldn't it? So I'll go 1-0 to the Arsenal and for them to sneak that one. So everybody get on a Liverpool win because both me and Mikey have gone the other way on this one. Last one here then because we've only got 9 this week. So this is on Christmas Eve. These poor lads have got to play. Poor lads. They get paid a fortune to do it. These poor supporters have got to go and show up to this game, and it's Wolves versus Chelsea, the Diego Costa derby.
Love it. Yeah, the dreaded Christmas Eve fixture. It is at least a 1 o'clock kickoff, so everyone will get home at a fairly decent time. But yeah, it's not on really. This is only the second time that there's been a Premier League fixture on Christmas Eve, and hopefully it won't become a permanent fixture. But who knows? I'm going to have to keep my powder dry on that one. Chelsea yet to win back-to-back league games under Pochettino, but Wolves have also been really inconsistent of late. These are 2 of the most inconsistent teams in the league. Really difficult to call. Wolves always score at home under Gary O'Neill, and they should have Pedro Neto back. He's their leading assist maker. I think he's already had 7 assists this season. He makes a real difference for them. But yeah, neither side are easy to call, like I say, but I just feel Chelsea can hurt Wolves with the pace that they have in attack. I could see them winning a penalty at Molineux. I don't think this one's going to be a classic. I've got it down for a 2-1 away win for Chelsea.
Everything you were saying was telling me 1-0 Chelsea, and I didn't think you were going to go both teams to score. I'll go tactically then, being that it's the last one, and I'll do the opposite of what you've said. I'll back Chelsea just a bit pony at the moment, aren't they? So I'll go for the Wolves win and the home advantage. And you've just got an email from the Premier League saying you're required to cover this game on Christmas Eve. Go and head up there. But there you go. So only 9 results for us to look at this week. They have all been flashed up on the screen. But Mikey, what should the people now do in the comments?
Yeah, get your predictions in the comments. Give the video a like as well. But yeah, get your comments in, get your predictions in, bold predictions as well. Everything's welcome in there. Help drive a bit of a discussion in the YouTube comments. And yeah, and can I just say a happy Christmas to everyone on your channel, Ben, and also happy birthday to each and every one of you for next year as well.
Happy Christmas to everybody except Mr. Marianakis for firing poor old Steve Cooper. I'm still hung up about that. Yeah, brilliant stuff, Mikey. So we will be back. Whether we can, because the games will get ridiculous. It might be in the new year that we're back because Mikey and I got to do a load of Ipswich Town stuff as well in the meantime. But yes, if you are just a watcher of this Premier League stuff, then big thanks to Mikey. We look forward to continuing this in the new year and have a bloody happy, bloody Christmas.